So you can go ahead and get comfy. And again, if you like to lay down or just in terms of if you have a bad back or that feels more comfortable for you, I just always invite you to put a pillow under your knees so that your lower back will drop. So, and then let's just begin by taking a little time to just notice how we are in this moment. So just taking a moment to notice your body, where your thoughts are in this moment, or your heart. And we don't have to have any aversion to it. Everything is temporary. So conditions as such, it's just like this right now. And if you have a dedicated practice, I certainly support you and encourage you to do that practice if you like. And if so, you can just let my words wash over you and just be noise. But if not, I just invite you this evening to just begin to let go of all the stories you're carrying in this moment. And just imagine that you put them outside the door, or you could just let them bubble off your body. Just release out of your body and your mind. And by letting go of stories, we just allow ourselves to arrive here, just in this moment. Letting go of our day and all the stressors that we carry. And to let go of our day, we can do one of two practices this evening. We can focus on our breath, where we just let go of distractions and just come back to our natural breath, letting it carry us in this moment. Or if we feel too busy to settle on the breath, we can use our breath to just help us empty out. And so we can use our breath to just breathe out any tension that we notice. So if you find a tension in your body, you just notice it, let it be there for a moment. It's okay. But we don't hold on to it. So we just gently breathe it out on the out-breath. Just letting it go. And if we find it's still there, we just breathe it out again. And we may have to do this a few times. But each time it might be a little softer, a little less solid. And we may notice other tensions besides physical tension. So we may notice some mental tension. We have stressful thoughts or racing thoughts, worries. And again, we just notice them and gently breathe them out. Let them go on their way. Not holding on to any stories in this moment. And we may notice some emotional tension. Our heart is hurting today, or sad, or we feel some anxiety. And again, it's okay that it's here. Conditions are such. We'll just gently release it on the out-breath, just breathing it out. And we may have to do that a few times. And you can also do this practice with energy in the body. So if you're noticing a lot of racy energy or stuck energy, again, you can notice it, allow it, and gently breathe it out. And if you have a lot of energy today, you may find that this is all that you do for this time. Just keep breathing out and allowing this tension or energy to leave. But if your system is starting to settle, you may notice it's quieter inside or more empty. And if so, I invite you to begin breathing into this emptiness, this quiet. Allowing it to get as big as it wants. We don't try to grow it. We just simply allow. There's no special size. It's just like this. And you can just enjoy this peace, this quiet. Or if you like, you can let yourself become it. And you do that by just letting go of stories, letting go of the body, and just letting this quiet, peaceful energy be your body. So it's as if this quiet, peaceful energy is breathing. Again, allowing it to be as big as it wants. No special size. Simply remembering this part of yourself. Underneath all the noise and chatter, there's this, our essential nature. Letting go of all the noise and the extra stories. Just this. Taking our refuge here. Amidst all the busyness in the world, there's always this. If busyness starts again, just gently breathe it out until you sense the quiet. Any stories that come, you just simply let them go. Resting here. Taking time to rest and recharge our batteries. Taking time to stop and nourish ourselves. Allowing everything to come and go. And we rest here. So sweet to sit with everybody. So last week I was talking, we were coming towards the end of Hanukkah and talking about the light of the world, love, being the light in the world. And this week we come into the Christmas holiday. For those of you who are raised Christian or still celebrate those holidays. And I just wanted to, seemed like a good time as we're kind of wrapping up the year to kind of just play just a little bit more on this idea of the light of the world. Last week we talked about how the light of the world is love, and it has many different cultural stories to it. You have a menorah and the story of the Maccabees in the Jewish tradition, and there, even in the Muslim tradition, there's this idea of the light of the inner being. And in the Christian tradition, that Jesus is the light of the world, and coming to show us how to be free of our suffering, our pain. And so it's been quite a year, for a lot of people. And this Christmas, for those of you who are celebrating, I've seen a lot of memes that I thought were quite beautiful around the theme of, rather than being focused on what we're going to get, instead being focused on what we have. And what a beautiful shift of the mind that is. We don't have to think about what we're going to get. We stop and reflect on what we have. And so I wanted to just do a reflection on that tonight, on kind of what we have here in this year. A lot of people have less resource. A lot of people are struggling financially. People are struggling with losing work and being furloughed or even laid off. Not seeing family and loneliness. I see it in my own family. A lot of the lamenting of we don't get to be together. Or I was talking last week about my father, and he's 87 and he keeps talking about his loneliness, that he's lonely, and yet he still wants to live alone. So, we have to figure that out. But doesn't get as many visitors as he would like. So I just want to do a reflection because in the wisdom traditions, we're often told that someone who is awakened or, is kind of advanced human person, that they have these experiences like they're filled with compassion for the world. They're filled with love. They're filled with peace in their heart. And they have what's known as appreciative joy. The joy for other people, celebration of other people, that their life is so full they don't really feel like they need very much, but they have a lot of joy around other people's goodness and good things that happen to them. So I just wanted to invite us to a little bit of a reflection around this idea. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes again, and we're just going to do a light kind of reflection. It doesn't have to be a deep letting go like we just did, but just more of a light reflection. And this is just on your life this year. So as we do this work, I'm just going to ask you to consider the whole year, not just the last few weeks, but all the way back to January and February. And the first thing I want to call to our attention is an experience or all the experiences of compassion that you felt. So just thinking back, moments where, and just you don't have to think hard, just let it kind of float in. Moments where you were compassionate towards others this year. It may have been back in March and April when we saw the people of Europe suffering, and our hearts were moved to be with them. Or around medical personnel, giving all of their time and love and care. You may have had compassion for them. Perhaps it was to certain animals. You feed the birds, or you made meals, or cared for somebody. Or maybe there was a time that you listened deeply to someone else. They were having a hard time and they called you or asked to go for a walk. Just feeling all the times that your heart leapt up in a compassionate way. And just taking a moment to notice how that makes you feel, reflecting on your own compassion. And then I invite you to just take a moment to recall some moments in this past year where someone showed compassion to you. Perhaps they listened to you when you were having a hard time, or showed you some kindness or some care. And just noticing how it feels to know that you've been held in compassion as well. Could be from someone you know well or a stranger. Again, just feeling what that's like. And then you can let that go. Take a breath and just breathe that out on the out breath. And allow yourself now to recall moments of love this year. All the way back to January and February. Moments where you had feelings of love for your family or your friends. Your favorite pet or animals. Just so happy that these people are in your life. Or you may have lost someone and you had a great swell of love for that person. And also taking time to remember when someone showed you love. They may have been so happy to see you or to have a Zoom call, and you knew that they loved you. Or your dog or cat jumped up on your lap and snuggled you, and you knew you were loved. And just taking a moment to feel how it is to be in a circle of love. Notice what happens with your body, your mind, as you just land in love. And you can go ahead and let go of that, just breathing it out and letting that go out into the universe. And now taking a moment to recall when you had peace this past year. Perhaps you had peaceful moments out in nature, sitting on a beach, or perhaps in your meditations and mindfulness practice. Or peace in not going to the office this year. You found another way to work. And you may recall someone who showed you a peaceful heart, someone who represented peace this year to you, and you rested in their peace. And you can let that go now. Just breathe that out. Let it go. And finally, just noticing in this past year moments of joy. Moments when you were joyful with others or someone brought great joy to your life. And just taking a moment to notice how that makes you feel, having had joy this year. And so I just want to point out that in this year of pain and fear and unknowing, compassion, love, peace, and joy prevail. We've all had moments of tasting it, resting in it, being nourished by it. So just taking a moment to notice what that's like, to realize that there was still love, compassion, joy, and peace this year. A lot of times the world is asking us to focus on what's not here. And in fact, we've all been held by what is here, by what's been in the background, what's popped up at the last moment, those kinds of things. Just want to read a couple of quotes from this. Last week I talked about Henry Wadsworth Longfellow and his poem, The Christmas Bells. And I didn't read it, I just talked about it. But I just want to read this last part from the poem. He talked about, this was during the Civil War. His son had been shot. His wife had died. There was a lot of pain in his life on this particular Christmas. And he said, "And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth," I said, "for hate is strong." Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. The Christmas bells were ringing louder than they had even a moment before. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. Love is not dead, nor does it sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth and goodwill to men. And so this moment of when it's dark, that these waves of love come through to show us that love does prevail and goodness prevails. Since it's just before Christmas, I thought I'd point to another famous teaching on this. For those of you probably are well aware of it, but the letter to the editor, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus." You might know that one. So this was written by an 8-year-old, Virginia O'Hanlon, in 1897. And she wrote a letter to the editor of The Sun, which was the New York Sun. And she said, "Some of my friends say there is no Santa Claus, but my papa says if you see it in the sun, it is so." Can't you see a father just blowing that off? I don't know, ask the sun. So she wrote to the editor, "Please tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus?" And so I'll just read a little bit of this. I won't read the whole thing, but he says, "Virginia, your little friends are wrong. They have been afflicted by the skepticism of a skeptical age. They do not believe except what they see, and they think nothing can be which is not comprehensible to their little small minds. But I tell you, Virginia, all minds, whether they are men or children's, are small. In this great universe of ours, we are merely an insect, an ant in this intellect, when compared to the boundless world about us." It's beautiful. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exists. And you know that they abound and give to your life its highest beauty and joy. How dreary the world would be if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith or poetry, no romance to make tolerable our existence. We would have no enjoyment, except perhaps in sight and sense, and the eternal light which fills the world would be extinguished. And then he talks about how these things are not seen. Not believe in Santa Claus? Well, you might as well not believe in fairies. You could get your papa to hire men to watch all the chimneys on Christmas Eve to catch Santa Claus, but even if you did not see Santa Claus coming down, what would that prove? I tell you, most real things in the world are those that neither child nor men can see. You can tear apart a baby's rattle to try to see what makes it the noise inside, but there's always a veil that covers the unseen world, which the strongest men can never tear apart. For it is only faith and fancy and poetry and love, compassion and romance that pushes aside the curtain and shows us a view of this celestial world. Is it real? Ah, Virginia, in this world there is nothing more real or abiding. No Santa Claus, thank God he lives, and he lives forever. 1,000 years from now, Virginia, nay, 10 times 10,000 years from now, he will continue to make glad the heart of the world. And so even if you don't believe in Santa Claus, this idea that we have in all these wisdom traditions, that love, compassion, joy, and peace are ever present. They're bigger than the fear of human minds. And no matter how big the fear gets, it always steers back. The arc always steers back into love, into joy, peace, and compassion. So we're told that, those who are saints or awakened people, those who live in their essence all the time, that they have access to these feelings all the time. And perhaps they do. I think they probably do. But for us normal, regular people, what's beautiful is that it's still here every day for us. That compassion is here, love is here, joy, peace. It just rises up as more magical moments. And so I want you to just take a moment to just maybe close your eyes and just consider you've been held all year. You may have come through some really difficult times, but you have been held all year. There have been many moments of love, compassion, joy, and peace. And even us meeting in this little Sangha together, which we've been doing since April. And it's bigger than the fear. It's bigger than death. It's bigger than COVID-19. And so what's possible for you going forward during these days if you know that it's all held? What are you capable of? What generosity are you capable of? What love and ease are you capable of? If you know it's all held. And even if you're in some darkness, it's all temporary. Even if you're in grief, your grief only exists because of how much you loved. So love is at the bottom of even grief. So you can open your eyes. I love sharing this journey with you. And it's been quite a beautiful, amazing, difficult year. It's been quite the year. But a lot of good has come from it. A lot of clarity, a lot of truth. Yeah. And I hope that we can use this and turn it into wisdom as we go into this next year. That we really wake up and create the kind of life, the kind of planet that we want, that sustains health and love and compassion and all that good stuff. So, thank you for your practice. And I hope this is of some support or use to you in your practice. And so if you want more, you can always go on the website, fallon-cyr.com, and there's recordings from other weeks and stuff. You can check those out too. And thank you for your love and support. And look forward to sitting with you next week.